Hi, and welcome to Toni Time. So great to have you here today. We have another family member here that we haven't had on the show for a while, Margot Anderson. Margot.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
It is so good to have you back.
Thanks.
Now, if you remember Margot, when she first came on my show, she was a Zumba instructor.
Yep, I was.
And
I loved it.
We had fun with that, but she's moved on from that.
Yep.
She's now an author for children's books.
Yep, I am.
And she lives life loud and beautifully.
Like you.
Well, you know, we have to. It's our personality.
Right.
So now you're home. You've been home since May.
May 1st.
May 1st.
Yep.
From Antigua. And she was there because the last show she was trying out Key West.
Right.
And that didn't work so well. So,
Except I got 3 children's books written there.
well, that's
So that was
true.
fine.
But she went back to where her heart really is, in Antigua.
Yep.
So how does it feel to be back?
In Maine? Well, it's home.
Well, no.
Oh, it's Antigua.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. I mean, in Antigua, I have, I've been going there for 57 years.
Yeah.
I have friends that I've known forever and new friends who live on the island year-round, expat friends from the States, England, France, Italy, Canada.
Oh.
Antigua's a real melting pot because of their sailing community. And now more because the rise of not just tourism, but the rise of all the electrical computer stuff has brought Antigua more into the current world.
Right.
And so I go down there and I know people and
You have a lot of good friends
I have
there.
a lot of good friends.
Yeah.
And I'm busy. I do volunteer work and I write books down there. I used to teach Zumba down there. And I belong to a cooking club that I just love. Oh my God, that's
Margot's
so
a
much
wonderful cook. Wonderful.
I do love to cook. And just let go of everything falls off my shoulders.
Yeah.
And then you get into I get there and I think, oh my God, I'm here, I'm back, and I'm so happy. And then I start to get into I remember, then I get into the routine, and then you get into the routine of life there the way you get into routine of life anywhere.
Right.
People say to me, what do you do in Antigua? So, what do you mean, what do I do? What do you do during the day?
Right.
So I go into all the stuff that I do, and they think I just sit on the beach and drink rum all day long, but that's not true.
That's not true.
No, we take care of each other there because it's a third world country.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's a community of a whole bunch of different friends from a whole bunch of different places, local Antiguans, people from other places.
Right. Now, you brought up to me, there is what's it called?
Sargassum, which is a seaweed.
Okay. What's happening with this?
Well, it's getting to be a huge problem throughout the whole of the Caribbean. So sargassum is a seaweed, a species of seaweed. The sargassum originates from the Sargasso Sea, which is the only sea that is not land-based. In other words, where it's delineated, where the sea is delineated in the North Atlantic, there's no land to it. So it's bounded on the eastern side by the Canary Islands, which are off the coast of Portugal.
Yeah.
And on the southern side by the southerly Atlantic currents. On the western side by the Gulf of Mexico currents, and the northern side by the North Atlantic. And the sea itself is, 1,000 miles wide and 3,000 miles long. So if you think of how far the sea goes, if it takes up 2/3 of the Atlantic,
Yeah.
it's like flying from Boston to California, that's 3,000 miles.
Yeah.
So it's huge. So what happens is in this sea, seaweed accumulates and has always. It blossoms sometimes and doesn't blossom other times. Depending on the currents, chunks of it lies in mats. So it looks like a brown sort of oblong-shaped mat. If you're flying in over a plane, you can see, brown mat. And it moves according to the currents. The first bad episode of sargassum, which is a seaweed, hit, let's not talk about Antigua, but it's all of the Eastern Caribbean, and now it's reached into Florida too.
Oh, wow.
And was in 2011. But this year it's the worst it's ever been. There are a lot of reasons why it's grown, why it's produced so much more, climate change. Those who don't believe in it, well, they don't believe in it, but this is one of the things the scientists say about this. And it has so many factors to it. First of all, animals live in it. Like migrating turtles, when they swim out into the sea, if they get onto it, they live on it for 2 years.
Really?
There are fish that live on it and off of it, and snakes, yuck, and crabs all through it. But when it gets thick and matted as it moves, it suffocates what's around it. So it can kill off what's living in it if it's caught in it. Like if a fish gets caught in it and it mats up, because it cuts off the oxygen.
Yeah.
So then what happens is it moves through the Caribbean to the beaches, because waves wash up on beach and seaweed is in waves. It clogs the beaches so badly, and it has I have to look this up because there's a specific, it's hydrogen sulfide gas, and it's the smell. It smells like rotten eggs, only worse, and it robs the seashore of oxygen. So as it piles up on the sea, it starts to die. It smells terrible. People have had to leave their homes. Electrical appliances get tarnished and go off. And there's really, there has not yet been, there's new research on how to get rid of it. But if you're digging up seaweed, you're also digging up the beaches. And that's terrible for the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And for the wildlife, especially the little turtles that lay their eggs in it and everything. So the other thing it does is it hurts tourism, which is one of the main industries of the Caribbean. Yeah. Because if they're going someplace to think, oh, we're going to the ocean and this is so much great, and you cannot get into the sea because these mats can back up into as thick as bales of hay, and they can cover an entire cove. And they can lie. And you see them keep coming in and in. And when I left by May 1st, the first bloom I saw was coming in around March, which means into Antigua, which means it started to move sooner than that. Yeah. And by the time I left, I couldn't get onto some of the beaches on the eastern side where I like to swim. And the smell was so bad that I had to close my windows on the ocean side because I would cough and gag. And some people have had to move, as I've said. There's a real conundrum about what to do about it.
Yeah.
There are, I think it's Guadeloupe or Martinique, I'm not sure. Don't quote me on this. Who have gotten machines. But the sea machines that could eat it up like a tractor going through a field is fine. But those on the beach take up the sand. So it's just starting to clear. For some reason, the blooms come and the blooms go. And this year it's been just a really bad year.
Wow.
So my friends on Antigua, I'm in touch with them all the time. And, I say, okay, how's the sargassum doing? Oh, it's dreadful. And then they try and do cleanup and they can't. And you can't. It's overwhelming.
Yeah. So it's large like a rug.
It's large like a rug. And all you have to do is go on to Sargasso or Sargassum on Google, and you can get pictures of it. And it just looks like this huge mat rug clogging the shoreline. Fishermen the local fishermen can't get their boats over the seaweed to get into the sea to fish. And it's gross. I don't know what good there is of it. Although some of my friends who are gardeners, and in Antigua, it's sometimes hard to grow things and sometimes not, but it's a lot of work. And one girlfriend in particular has this great house, and she's just planted everything around it. And every time there's a Sargasso outbreak, Sargassum outbreak, she'll go and she'll gather it and let it dry and use it in her garden. And apparently it's great fertilizer. But in such huge droves, you can't really do much with it. I mean, it's a pest. It's pestilence.
Is it thick, or does it?
Let me see if I have any other. Yes, it's thick. And they think human-caused climate change, as I said, is one of the reasons it's growing so much this year. And I think I've gotten all of the major things that I wanted to, things to let you know about. They say that it originates from the Gulf of Mexico and it's carried by currents, but it goes up as far as Bermuda. If you think of, it takes up it goes farther north, 2/3 of the Atlantic. This is the sea itself. And then the seaweed grows in the sea.
But
so
when you mention Florida, I mean, that's
a lot farther west than it usually travels. A lot farther. But who knows? I mean,
so it's a sort of problem where the fishermen have a hard time getting out.
Yep.
It's killing off sea life.
Killing off sea life, robbing oxygen from the beaches, causing people to have allergies and bad reactions, and gets into motors of people out on a boat, let's say. And it smells awful. I mean, before I left, there's this one bay I go around in Antigua, Willoughby Bay, to get to English Harbor, which is where all the boating activity is. And you practically have to hold your nose as you're going around the whole bay. It's just gross. Anyway.
Well, I'm glad you informed us about this.
Well, it's something people don't usually know about.
No, they don't.
What's Sargassum? What's Sargasso Sea? And
Well, I thought it was a big bird.
Yeah, you did.
Because you sent me an email and you asked me what I thought it was. And I emailed Margot back, and I said, well, it sounds like a big bird to me.
Well, I wouldn't have known unless I lived there.
Right.
Living on Antigua. So.
Oh, my goodness.
But anyway, so that's the story about the Sargasso Sea and the Sargassum seaweed.
Well, if our audience, our fishermen, and everyone who want to investigate that, now you can, and find out more about it.
Yeah. It doesn't come here, though.
Now it doesn't.
Now it doesn't.
Right.
We have other things here, like sharks.
Do we really have sharks?
Oh, yeah, really, we have sharks. You didn't know that?
No, Margot.
Yes, Tony, there are sharks.
Little ones?
No, 14 foot. No, I'm not kidding you. There was, where was it? I saw, it's a 14-foot great white that somebody says somebody saw. But my brother's seen them out on his boat, and apparently somebody said they saw a hammerhead coming in the gut, but I can't imagine how a hammerhead would fit in the gut because they're big sharks. I hope not.
Oh, my God. I mean, I figured there would be a few shark out there, but little ones, not the big ones.
Well, there are little ones too, but they're not just out there. I mean, I grew up swimming here. I am always on the lookout now when I get in the water. Always. And I remember one day last year, the lifeguards got everybody out of the water from Biddeford Pool down to past Fortune's Rocks.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, cleared the beach.
All right. Well, another tidbit of information here.
You didn't want to hear.
Well, that's okay. I'd rather know and be aware.
Yeah.
So, you've written another book. You've written another 2 books.
Another 2 books I have.
Now, I want to hear about If an Octopus Lived with You. I want to hear this.
All right. Well, it originated because I was out one evening and a girlfriend of mine said, you know, I've always, and she's a mother of 5 and a grandmother of 7. She's one of the best mothers I ever knew. She's got a great husband. It was just 5 children. I can't imagine. I had 3.
Yeah.
That was perfect, but a lot of work. So she said, I was thinking about writing this book. I love the story, but I'm not a writer, and would you write it for me? And I said, well, tell me what it's about. She said, what if an octopus lived in my house? What if an octopus lived in your house? So I said, well, that's interesting, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't think too much of it.
Yeah.
And then I went to bed, and the next morning I woke up and I said, wait a minute. What are the possibilities of a children's book if an octopus lived in your house?
Yeah.
And I started thinking about this octopus with all its arms and all it could do. And I couldn't stay in bed another minute. I got right up and got some coffee and took my computer downstairs and started just going, brrrt, and I wrote the first draft in 4 hours. But I signed up my Key West illustrator to illustrate this one because it's kind of wacky, and he's wacky. Sorry, Dale, but he's wacky, and I love him. And he did my 3 Key West books. So he said, I sent him pieces of it, and he said, I love it. So he's starting in on the illustrations. I'm starting the rewriting. He sent me some editing pieces, and I'm on fire about it. I think it's going to be a really fun book.
Sounds
and
like
the other
it.
thing I did is I asked my grandkids. So I've got 5, but only 4 could have an opinion because my 22-month-old doesn't have an opinion.
No,
we have lots of opinions, but not about an octopus.
Yeah, true.
So they sent me ideas about what they thought an octopus would do in their house. So I've gotten them engaged in it. Now, I've written 5 children's books, and my grandchildren say they're interested because the first 2 had their names in them.
Right.
And then the last 3 were about animals in Key West. And they think it's cute, but, you know, they're not on fire about it.
Yeah.
But I think this one's going to set them on fire. So I love it. I'm in love with this book that I'm creating.
Yeah. Wow.
So let me read you the beginning, the intro,
do.
okay? Okay, so I think it's going to be called either If an Octopus Lived in My House or If an Octopus Lived in Your House. So, if an octopus lived in my house, what would it do? Would it play with me? Would it swim in my pool? Would it help Mama make lunch and do laundry too? What do you think it would do? I'll tell you the story of our octopus. She came to visit and stayed the whole day. And then the rest of the book is about how the children, there are 5 children. Isn't that amazing? I have 5 grandchildren, there are 5 children here. Mm-hmm. Looked out and saw an octopus. And then they went to say hello, and the octopus says hello back. And then they invite the octopus into their house. They play in the pool.
Yeah.
And they go sliding down the octopus's arms and jump off her head, and she catches them and throws them up. So that's going to be a really fun illustration. And then Mama says, it's time for lunch. And she said, Mrs. Octopus, would you like to come inside and have lunch? She said, yes, I'm very hungry. So everybody goes inside, and they have lunch. Well, then Mrs. Octopus says, Mama, can I help you? And Mama's saying, well, let's see, it's peanut butter and jelly and cheese and bread and whatever. It's all, and all of a sudden, Mrs. Octopus has got it all in her hands, and lunch is done. And everybody's, look at, what would you do? If an octopus lived in your house and they had so many hands, they could do so many things for you. It could do so many things for you. So that's one part. And then another part is the octopus goes down to the playroom with the kids because Mama's on an important business phone call.
Yeah.
She said, Mrs. Octopus, please can you babysit for my kids? Well, the little one falls off his bike and Mrs. Octopus has to pick him up. And the older one is hitting a ball against a wall, and Octopus has to stop that. And then another one is painting dots on the rug, and the Octopus has to stop that. And it's just total mayhem of kids and Mrs. Octopus going crazy. But everybody's happy. Everybody's having a wonderful time. Nobody gets hurt. And Mrs. Octopus is a wonderful, wonderful mama, too, and babysitter. So then Mama comes downstairs and she says, and what have you all been doing? And everybody looks up and says, nothing, which means they're all guilty of doing something wrong.
Yeah.
But Mrs. Octopus made it okay. Then at the end of the book is Mrs. Octopus has to leave because she has to go back to her babies in the sea.
Oh.
They found her in their pool because she had escaped from an aquarium.
Oh.
Yeah, she'd been caught and she'd escaped and she found the pool, and so then Mama and all the kids said, the ocean's just on the other side of the rocks from our pool. So they take Mrs. Octopus out, and she goes. And the end of the book is something like, let's see. So the kids say, well, Mrs. Octopus said, well, now don't forget me. Maybe I will poke my head up from the ocean from time to time and see if I can see you. Oh, please do, said the kids. We will be on the lookout for you. So Mrs. Octopus gave 8 waves, because she has 8 arms, and slid into the sea. So now you know what would happen if an octopus came to live in your house. Wouldn't it be fun?
God, what a great story.
So
Great idea.
it's been really fun I love to write about kids and what they do.
Yeah.
So it's been fun to make this. One of my grandkids said, but an octopus can't live in your house. And I said, but it's a story. It's magic. What if one did?
Yeah.
And kids can move from reality to fantasy and back and forth. So that's one book.
Wow. What a great story.
So I think that'll be fun.
I'm looking forward to it. Now you have another one.
I have another one that, this is back
Guppy the Goat?
Guppy the Goat, and it's back in Antigua.
Okay.
My illustrator for my first 2 books about seahorses in Antigua loves animals. And loves drawing them and painting them. She's fantastic. She's done lots of books, and she used to live in the Hanna-Barbera. She grew up in the Hanna-Barbera family and worked in their studio for 8 years. So she's knowledgeable. Very different illustrator from my Key West one. And so I was thinking about writing something she loved to illustrate. So I said, Katie is her name, why don't I write a story about animals in Antigua? And you can tell me animals you'd like to illustrate.
Yeah.
Well, we have to have a goat. They call it a goat.
Okay.
So we have a goat, we have a dog, we have a donkey, and a cat, and a mongoose, which is sort of like they're kind of gross looking, but they're all over the island, and they're like snakes.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I'm sorry, they're like rats, but they're not horrible like rats. They're just mongoose. And they were brought to the island years ago to kill snakes in the cane fields. So, but snakes are, nocturnal? I don't know. Whichever it is, the mongoose and the snakes weren't out at the same time of day. So what they did was, the mongoose they killed off all the rats. Not all the rats, because there are plenty of rats left.
Yeah.
But anyway, also killed off snakes. So we have no snakes on Antigua.
Wow.
On the island. But anyway, so there's Maisie, the crazy Maisie the mongoose. So we have main characters, and they go on adventures. And the reason I named it Guppy the Goat is because my dad loved Antigua. I mean, he and Mom were the ones that took us there. And at one point, my dad said something, and my mom said, "Oh, you old goat." But, you can't call your grandfather or your father Goat or Old Goat. So it turned into Guppy. So my kids all called my dad Guppy. So Guppy the goat. And he's the wisest goat on Antigua.
Oh, okay.
And his friend Jack the donkey, they live in English Harbor, which is the boat side, the yachting side, the southern part of the island. And they go on adventures. And they got Maisie, the mongoose, almost gets eaten by the rats, but she makes a deal with the rats. And Kiwi, the cat, sails in from New Zealand, and cats hate the water. So she was chasing a mouse in New Zealand, and the mouse went up the gangplank, and Kiwi went after the mouse, and the ship set sail, so Kiwi was stuck. So she arrives in Antigua like this. And at that particular moment, Guppy and Jack and some of the other people were down by the docks and said, "Look, there's a cat coming in." So the cat gets off the boat and doesn't have a name yet. But New Zealanders are known as Kiwis. Like Australians are known as Aussies, New Zealanders are Kiwis. So Jack and Guppy decide to name the cat Kiwi because it comes from New Zealand. And they said, "Don't worry, we'll be your friend. We'll take care of you." So the group grows as they meet each other. And they just go on adventures and do things. And Jack is the naughty one. He gets caught doing things he shouldn't be doing. And then there's Plenty the dog. And the reason I named the dog Plenty, because Katie, my illustrator, and her husband Ian said, there used to be a dog in English Harbor who went around, ate everybody's hors d'oeuvres. And his name was Plenty. So Plenty the dog. Well, so of course Plenty the dog goes around, eats everybody's food. Jack the donkey pokes his nose into some of the open stores and scares the tourists. Maisie almost gets eaten by a rat. It just goes on and on.
Oh my!
And I just love it. And and there's Kudu the cow. Now Kudu is the name of an animal in Africa, and
All right.
Katie and Ian travel to Africa every year. They just love it. So I had to name something for them. So Kudu the cow gets lost because she's a little older and isn't quite sure. She wanders away from her other friends or cows. So, and I can't remember which one it is now because I haven't done editing on this for a while, but I think it's one of the characters leads her back to her friends, and their friends say, "Thank you so much." And Kudu said, "I'm so happy to be back with my friends." And, so it's all about friendship. It's all about reaching out, helping people, and being a friend.
Yeah. You give these characters such life. I'm sitting here listening to every word, and I'm thinking how creative. I mean, you give them such life, and you have a history like your father.
Yeah.
You can't call him an old goat.
No, but...
And the kids called him...
Guppy.
Guppy the goat.
Guppy the goat. And I'm going to dedicate the book to the original Guppy and put my dad's birth date and end date.
Oh.
Yeah, so...
How great.
So...
So Margot, where can people, the books that are out, where can they purchase them?
Amazon.com.
Amazon.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't think my seahorse books are there anymore, but my Creatures of Key West, Rusty the Rooster, Pete the Pelican, and Inez the Purple Iguana are all on Amazon.
So people can just go to Amazon and type in your name, Margot Anderson?
Yeah. Or type in my name or the name is, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, right. And you can purchase
you should
the
be
books.
Able to, yeah.
That's great.
So it's fun. Somebody said to me, "Why, you're making lots of money from your books?" I said,
don't make money from books.
No, I said, "No, I don't make 10 cents." I said, "That's not why I write them. I write them because I love telling kid stories."
Yeah, exactly.
And I just think it's fun.
Well, they are so colorful. I mean, the art, the illustration is amazing.
Thanks. Well, I've got two great illustrators and good friends.
And your mind, the way it creates these characters. And you give them life, and you give them a family.
Yes, everybody needs friends. And everybody, to have a friend, you need to be a friend.
Right.
And sometimes if you don't have immediate family, your friends are your family.
Right.
So that's what I create in every book. The other thing about Guppy the Goat, the last character I've created, because in my seahorse books I had my 4 grandkids, and then I had the latest one. And his mother said, Mom, please don't put him in another book. So I said, okay, how do I get around this?
Yeah.
Well, his first name, which they don't use, is Anderson, like my last name. So there is a new baby duck born on Antigua whose name is Anders. Anders the baby duck is the cutest duck you ever saw. He's just learning to walk. And the group of animals comes up and says, let's go see Anders. He's so cute. So Anders is just starting to walk and talk. I want to go on adventures with you. And Anders' mother says, oh, no, you don't. You're way too young. And Guppy the goat says, Mrs. Duck, we would never do anything to hurt your baby. She said, you're not taking him on any adventures yet. So there's that whole thing where I introduce the cutest baby duck. He's got this little blonde feathers, and he's learned to walk and talk, and everybody adores him. And so that's my newest grandchild.
You got around it.
I got around it just.
Wow.
Yeah, so. Yeah.
That is so. You must be so proud of what you've accomplished.
I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful I have a passion to be able to create things.
Yeah.
It's not a proud thing. It's a love to create. It's this nutty imagination I have.
I know. I know.
Same thing when I'm in the kitchen. I'm creating all kinds of things.
That's what I love about you, Margot.
Oh, thanks, Toni.
You know, I mean, you are just out there creating. I picture you in the kitchen. Things are flying.
Oh, they are. I make the biggest mess. Wow. The biggest mess. And I sometimes I laugh at myself. Do you know one time I had to throw away a stove? I made such a mess.
Oh, you're kidding.
I was giving a dinner party for about 40 people. And I had this, I was using one of those, not styrofoam, what do you call, like a baking dish thing. Yeah. But it was the tinfoil kind, and I was doing pulled pork, and I had a ton of marinade in it. And I pulled it out of the oven. The whole thing fell over, went into the oven, down the side of the glass thing on the oven. There was no way you could clean it. And I just went, it was like a Julia Child's moment. I had to pick the pulled pork up off the floor, stick it on another platter, and serve it. And then I looked at the kitchen. I said, oh, my God, I can't even halfway cope with this. So next day I called Vix, who doesn't live there anymore, or,
Yeah.
And I said, I need a new oven. Yes, Mrs. Anderson. I said, just like the other one. Yes, Mrs. Anderson. When would you like that? I said, today, please. They said, we can't quite get it to you today. I said, I'll come down and pay for it right now. So I had to replace the oven.
Oh, my.
My kids just went, Mom, you what? You threw away the oven?
You had to.
I had to. Well, it's like another time I decided, because I've been redoing the house and redoing it, to spray paint blue the inside of the drawers and underneath the, I was going to paint it, and underneath the sink. And I thought, well, I'm not going to paint it, I'll spray paint it. So I got this great spray paint. Psh, psh, took everything out, put it away. Psh, 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 psh. Thought, oh my God, I've done the best job. I went upstairs to take a shower, and I looked down the shower, and there were blueprints on the bottom of my shower. I said, oh my God, what's that? And I looked down, and I had spray paint all over my feet. So I went downstairs, and I looked again. I thought, I've got spray paint on the kitchen floor. So when my son came that weekend, he said, well, Mom decided to spray paint the kitchen floor and got some of the paint in the drawers. So I had to order a new floor.
Oh, my God.
I did.
Did you really?
Called up Ben's Flooring. Said, Ben's Flooring, I need a new floor, please. Yes, Mrs. Anderson. And then I liked that floor so much,
Yeah.
I changed 2 other floors in the house, 2 other bathroom floors.
Can't leave you alone.
No, I mean, now I'm putting a new little lower deck on my house, and my kids said, what do we need this for? I said, well, we need it. Mom, do we need it? I said, yes, we need it. Why do we need it? I said, because I want it. And I'm paying for it.
Right, exactly. So you want it, that's it.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
Margot.
I am having fun in life.
I know you are. And that's what I love my audience to hear about these stories. Because everybody is so serious and everything, and they're forgetting to live, and they're forgetting to just have fun.
I know. And I tell you, watching my grandkids on the beach is the greatest joy since my own kids were there. And watching my kids take care of their kids on the beach and seeing some of the things that I know that I did that my kids are doing with their kids. Of course, I don't say anything because then they wouldn't be pleased.
Yeah.
They're original. Nobody's ever done it that way before.
And no one's ever had a baby.
No.
Right, no.
But I just love it.
Well, you know, nowadays in all the tabloids and magazines, oh, she has a baby bump. Oh, my God. And I'm thinking, she's having a baby.
Right.
You know, everybody's done that for eons of years.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
I know. And then you see your own children being parents.
It is so wonderful. I watch my son with his kids in the water, and my oldest daughter, her kids are a little older, so they don't have to be watched quite so much. And then my youngest one, who's 23 months, he gets up and he goes like this, bitch, and he gets into the house, bitch, and Annie said, oh my God, he's got to get out to the beach. I said, I'll take him. You unpack the car, I'll take him. So he and I go down to the beach, and he just runs. All he wants to do is be in the water, and he goes like this with his feet, do in the beach. And then he watches the waves, and he just turns around and runs the other way. Of course, it's been done before,
But it's your grandchild.
it's my youngest and last
And
grandchild.
it's their first time experience what you grew up with.
Right,
And what your children grew up
Right.
with.
right.
You know, so you're seeing that whole generation come in.
I love it. It's so much fun. I mean, I took a photo this early summer of we put a what do you call this, umbrella on the beach, and the kids were there, and the grandkids were there, and there were just toys and sand toys, and you know, everybody was doing something. And I stood back and I took a picture of this. I said, this is the most joyful picture I can think of.
Yeah.
Now, they weren't all there. I was missing my West Coast people, but anyway. And then every year I change all the photos on the refrigerator because they have to be that summer.
Yeah.
And my printer wasn't working. So I was having 9,000 fits. I need photos on this refrigerator. So Snapfish. I ordered about 100 prints. Got enough for the fridge. And I have to stop now because my daughter and her family from San Francisco aren't here yet, and they need to be represented from this summer.
Right, exactly.
So,
Oh, Margot.
God.
You are just such a warm-hearted, loving woman
Oh, Toni,
that has
thank you.
so much fun. And I've watched you walk into a room and own it. You do. I mean, you have never met a stranger in your life.
I love people.
I know you do. I know you do. And I just, you know, that is a gift, that is an art that very few people have.
I don't think so, Toni. I think there are a lot of people like that.
No. I don't believe that. I believe they want to be like that. And I'm sure they're scattered throughout the world.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But watching you and observing you when you walk in, I just get a smile on my face.
Aw.
Because usually I'm standing back over there ready to go out the back door because I just, you know.
I know, but I love it when I see you at parties because I know just how you feel. I'm thinking, good for Toni, she's here. I think I'll go tell her something to make her laugh.
And you do. You do. But when she walks in, I just get a grin on my face. And you know.
It's fun.
It's just so great. We're running out of time.
I know. I don't know how did it go so fast?
But my God, you've informed everybody, and I mean, you've got to come back on.
I'd love to.
When will the books be ready?
I think another month.
Okay, so before you leave.
Oh, yeah, before I leave, because I'm not leaving until December 1st.
Right, so before you leave, we'll have the books. You'll come back on.
Yep, and I'll be able to show the books.
Yeah, definitely.
And, yeah, I'd love to do that.
I'd
love to
that
do
would
that.
be great. You know what? I'd love to have your grandchildren on the show with you. Wouldn't that be fun?
I don't think my kids would let them do that.
Really? Oh, what a shame.
I know. They're very, very private.
Okay.
Well,
it's a thought.
I think it's a great thought. And, yeah, it's a great thought. Maybe my older ones.
The older ones. You know, I'd love to interview them with you here.
It might be my, Greta and Bridget might be.
Asking them their thoughts about the book, and then when they come up to Maine, what do they remember when they go home?
They're so active. As a matter of fact, I'm going to sign them up now for tennis lessons, and I have to buy them white shirts. And Tiffany said, can you do this? Can you do that? I said, I'll do anything. Just ask.
Yeah, yeah.
And then my other two kids roll their eyes and said, oh, Mom. I said, and what have I done for you?
Yeah. Exactly.
Anything you ask, within reason.
Right, right. Oh, Margot, so
thank you.
You'll be back on the show.
I'd love to. I'd love to.
Thank you so much for being on,
Oh, you're
bringing
welcome.
everybody up to date
Oh, you're welcome.
on your life and what you're doing. It's just such an enjoyable
Well,
moment.
it's really fun to be here and be able to talk. I never know what I'm going to say.
Well, I never know what I'm going to say either, but we play off each other so well.
I know. I love it. I do.
I love you, Margot.
I love you too, Toni. Thanks a million.
Oh, you're welcome. And I want to thank everybody for listening to our show today. And I hope you enjoyed it as much as Margot and I did. And we will see you very soon again. Bye-bye.